Hello and welcome to the daily discussion. My name is Ryan. I'm so glad to be your host today. We have a fantastic show planned out for you today where we're going to be talking about how to 10x your results if and when you implement the ideas and tips that we talk about in today's session. Now, I'm so glad that you're here. If you are new to the Vetter community, this is the discussion call. We do this call 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, the same time. And this call is interactive. So if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hand. Also, drop your questions in the comment section and we'll be able to answer you there. Now, again, my name is Ryan. I am so thankful to have been part of the Vetter community since early October. And just out of curiosity, go ahead and drop in the chat how long you've been a part of the Vetter community. So I know, who's on the line today. And also, if you're watching the replay, go ahead and leave a comment below, letting everyone know how long you've been part of the Vetter community. Now, today, like I said, we're going to cover a topic and a series of ideas that will literally help you 10x your results. It's going to help you get the results that you actually want to get in this crypto space. It's also going to save you a lot of time, energy, and money. Okay. Now, we're also, when that is wrapped up, we're also going to go over the Vetter calendar. We're going to look for a couple projects that look good this week. Give yourself an opportunity to take a look at the project, see if it's a good fit for you. And we'll be able to utilize the CrowdX calendar. Now, if you're watching this right now and you don't know what Vetter is and you don't hold Vetter tokens, hey, not a problem at all. Go ahead and visit vetter.ai. They're going to be able to learn exactly what Vetter is all about, why so many people are excited, and how we're getting the results that we're getting. Now, before we jump into all of those details, again, let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Ryan. I've been part of Vetter community since early October. And one of the things I absolutely love most about this platform is the crowdsourced intelligence. Vetter is combining and has combined artificial intelligence, AI, with crowdsourced intelligence, CI. And that's how we're getting the results that we're getting. And CI, crowdsourced intelligence, is the idea of multiple people from all over the world with different experience levels and background coming together to sift and sort through hundreds of projects that are launching on a daily basis, and to share ideas and tips and tricks on what's worked for them, trends that they're seeing in the space, maybe even getting a heads up on a launch that you may not have known about. That's the benefit of the crowdsourced intelligence model. And the Vetter platform and community is all about helping each other win. I'm all about win-win relationships, win-win scenarios where, you don't have to take from someone else. You can actually work together and both parties can win. And I always look for opportunities like that. Now, I will say that, this is not financial advice, and anything we cover on today's call is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. That's not what I do. Okay. Yeah. I will give some ideas. I will give some concepts, some tips, some tricks, some resources. But the whole idea, Vetter platform is a research tool. Okay, it's a research tool. It supports you in finding your next 2x, 5x, 10x, and beyond. Okay, I'm going to show you how to use the platform to do that and the philosophy and ideas behind how best to maximize your results. Now, another thing I want to say is Vetter is not a crystal ball. Oftentimes when I say that you can use the platform to find a 2x or a 10x or 100x, people say, Ryan, show me the next one. Well, that's not how this works. We have criteria that we're looking for. We have criteria where we're stacking probabilities that it puts us in a position. It gives us an opportunity to be able to get a 2x, a 10x, or 100x. It is not a crystal ball. It says, hey, this right here is going to be the next 100x. That's not how that works. Now, I will also say that Vetter platform is a tool. Okay, just like any other tool, if you don't use it the right way, you're not going to get the kind of results that you want to get. So if you had a handsaw and you're trying to put a nail in the wall, the handsaw would not be the tool for the job. Just like if you try to use a screwdriver to saw something in half, like it's just that doesn't work. I know that sounds silly. That sounds absurd. Of course it does, because you know that you get to have the right tool for the job. Well, Better Platform is a tool, and the only way you get the kind of results that you want is by utilizing the tool and maximizing the tool and make it an effective process so you get the results that you want. Now, before we jump into the platform and the topic of today's conversation, let's go ahead and do a couple of announcements. So blockchain, the Rome event just wrapped up. I thought this was a really cool image I wanted to share. Super cool. The amount of exposure we had there in Rome. And part of the team was there making some relationships and connections there, which is super cool. Some things that are going to be coming on later, throughout our community. Some networking opportunities. Just fantastic event to see Vetter blasted all over the Rome event there at Blockchain Rome. Next stop is actually Berlin. That's what's coming up in a few weeks or so. And then here's a picture of some of the team, and I thought that was a pretty cool shot. One of the things that someone chimed in on in Telegram was like, "Man, look at their vertical leap. It's pretty impressive." just like the gains that you see on the CrowdX calendar. I thought that was hand in hand. They go hand in hand. One other thing I want to announce, congratulations to Lorraine 100X for being Scout of the Week. She's doing a fantastic job, and one of her projects that she had posted was No Minds token, and this is actually a project we talked about a couple of weeks ago on the discussion calls just like this. And so one of the benefits of plugging into these calls is to find out about projects that you may not have otherwise found out about. And so one of the things I always want to do is whenever we talk about a project on the call, I always like to circle back and share how it did. If it was great, I want to share about that. If it wasn't great, I want to share about that. If there were things that we really liked about it, I want to share that. If there were things that we were questionable, I want to share that as well. And so with that project, No Minds, it had a Vetter audited highest low of 4.7x in the first 24 hours. And what that means is anyone who got in this project and got in this launch, they had an opportunity to sell at a 4.7x. They had over an hour where they could have sold at over a 4.7x, which is pretty phenomenal. If you are someone who likes to rip FT, that basically means recoup investment profit, RIP, and then leave in free tokens. You potentially could have done a rip over here within the first handful of hours, left in free tokens, and then gradually pulled some of those tokens out as time goes on. Because the next day, after the first 24 hours, you actually had an opportunity to sell at a 5.3x for over 2 hours. Okay, and this is the beautiful thing about this particular project. Based on your own money management, based on your own strategy for exiting these projects, this project was a textbook project that can support a lot of people in the community. For example, someone who's just looking for a 2x, they would have got out around here somewhere. Okay, someone who that would be a rip, recoup investment and you profited. Okay, great. Someone who's looking to do a rip FT, like I said, they could have got out after 1.5x, 2x, left in the free tokens, letting it ride, and gradually taking profits along the way. That's one way to do it. Another way, someone could have looked at the target as a 4x. Okay, another way, someone could have looked at the target as a 5x. Okay, so this project, and the reason I'm showing this is this ties directly into the conversation that we're having today. And that's why I'm spending a little bit more time on this picture right here. But I like showing this because, like I said, whenever there's a successful launch like this, a lot of people have opportunities to make money. But the best part about it is they make it based on their own strategy. Okay, there's not a one size fits all. There's not a perfect way to do this. It all comes down to your own personal philosophy, you understanding the system that you're trading, and then following the plan. Okay, following the plan. So today we're going to talk about how to 10x your results. Okay, how to 10x your results. And the sooner you implement what we cover today, the sooner you're going to get the results that you really want to get. And I know a handful of you have already implemented this. You do this on a regular basis. But I know today, after we talk, you're going to see why it's so important for this to be a part of your process. So with that, let's go ahead and jump over here. This is our CrowdX calendar. And so what we're going to talk about today is, oh, actually, let me go back. I had one more slide. What we're going to talk about today is volume of launches. Okay, VOL. Okay, if you see me in Telegram, you hear me always talking about VOL. You hear me talking about KSP. You hear me talking about VAL, VAHL. You know, these are some of the acronyms I use most often. You hear me talking about MM, money management. Okay, these things are super important. Okay, volume of launches. A volume of launches is a series of launches where you are documenting the process. You're watching and getting crystal clear on the nuances of the projects that you're getting into. Okay, you're understanding what's going on. Now, the reason you do a volume of launches is to learn, number one, learn the process. Over the last handful of weeks, the videos that we have done in sequential order have been how to familiarize yourself with the platform. What criteria are you looking for when you're getting into a project? What questions you want to ask in Telegram? What does a Telegram vibe and things like that feel like? As you're headed into the pre-sale, what are you looking for from the team? What are you looking for on PinkCell? What about the token metrics? Once you're in, now you want to claim your tokens. And then at that point, you want to execute your money management plan. Okay. All of the stuff that we've been talking about is literally laying a foundation for you. Okay. It's laying your foundation for you to understand the process. Now, what a volume of launches does, it allows you to experience all of this without risking your money, without making the mistakes that cost you money. Okay. Essentially, what we're talking about is paper trading. In the world of Forex, it's called demo trading. And the beautiful thing about Forex is you can have a real account with real data, real numbers, a real fake balance. Okay, you can have literally a balance that says $1,000 or $10,000 or $100,000. It's fake money, but it trades real. Okay, everything's real and allows you to flex the muscle, develop your understanding of how it all works without risking your money. Unfortunately, right now, we don't have anything like that exists. Maybe better we'll create it. I don't know. Okay, but I say all that to say, you get to paper trade this, meaning you show up in Telegram, you ask your questions, you show up on PinkCell as if you were going to contribute into the pre-sale. Okay, you document the whole process. Did it lose? Did it win? What were the results? That's a volume of launches. You do that 10 times, 20 times, 30 times, 40 times until you get good at it. You understand, you recognize patterns that are emerging from this process. And then you can switch to live money when you're ready and when you've learned how this process works. Now, here's the best part about this. Through a volume of launches, you're going to develop something called knowledge of system performance, KSP. Okay, you guys always hear me talking about VAL, VAHL, Vetter Audited Highest Low. Super important because that's how we're changing the game in crypto. You hear me talk about VOL, volume of launches. That's how you understand and develop KSP, which is knowledge of system performance. Okay, all of these things work together. And if you implement these, it's going to 10x your results. Okay, and I'll show you how. Okay, so knowledge of system performance. You understand and you develop the knowledge of the system that you're trading through a volume of launches, through paper trading. Once you have 10, once you have 20, once you have 30, you have data points to then recognize and realize, oh, wow, look, every time I get in a project that has a Certec audit, it doesn't dump. Or you realize every time you get in a project that has a whitelist, the project doesn't dump and there's massive buy pressure. Or you realize every time that communication sucks in Telegram and the team is not doxed and there's a lot of spam, that the project dumps. Okay. Now, some of you may be saying, well, that's just obvious. Well, it's not obvious. It's obvious whenever you find patterns, because if it happens one time, you're just making, that's just subjectivity. Like you're just putting meaning on it. But when it happens time in and time out, time in and time out, time in and time out, you realize that's a clue. Success leaves clues. Okay. When you do a volume of launches, you're leaving yourself little breadcrumbs, little gold nuggets, little clues that it's going to take you where you want to go. One of the things that Metalrad, a fantastic scout in our community, said, he really enjoys gaming projects. In this type of market, he really enjoys to get his money in and out as quick as possible. He's realized at a certain point in time that consistently price will do something consistently every single time. And that's where he does his RIP FT. Recoup investment profit. He lives in free tokens because he knows a couple weeks later, it's going to hit the all-time high. That's when he closes out the rest of his tokens. Okay. That's called KSP. That's called knowledge of system performance. He realized that through a volume of launches. So now he's not guessing when he gets into a project. He knows exactly what his strategy is based on the projects he's getting into. He knows when to execute. He knows what to do. Why? Because over a volume of launches, he has understood or even created, I mean, it's his own system. He created his own system. He has knowledge of system performance. This is huge. Okay. If that makes sense, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. I want to make sure everybody's with me right now. Okay, if that makes sense, give me a thumbs up. Perfect, perfect, perfect. We got some thumbs ups. So that's how this can help you. How many times have you been in a launch and you're like, oh, when do I exit? You know, it's going up and then you're like, oh man, should I exit now? Should I close now? And then it goes down a little bit. You're like, oh, I should have sold. I should have swapped. I knew I should have swapped. And it goes back up. You're like, oh, okay, it's good. It's good. Okay, it's good. Oh, we're going for 10x. Okay, great. And like just this yo-yo effect. You know, you're riding the charts. You know, your emotions are riding the charts up and down, up and down, up and down. I mean, it can be thrilling. It can be an adventure. It can also be kind of stressful. Okay. Imagine just realizing like, hey, look, this is a project I'm going to get into. I've done this 10 times, 20 times, 30 times. This is what I expect is going to happen. I'm going to follow this plan. And all the emotions are out of it. Okay. It may not sound really fun to be disciplined and be a robot, but it's very profitable. Okay. It's very profitable. Okay. Just take the emotion out of it. Follow the plan. Follow the plan. All right. So let's go back and let's look at this. I shared this a couple weeks ago. I'm going to share it again today. I'm going to put it in the chat. Okay. So I put this document together and this is the volume of launches document. I'm adding it to the chat right now. So feel free to open that up and make a copy for yourself. Okay. And on the first page, there's an introduction here. And there's a Loom video, and this video explains how to use this document. Okay, that's what this is. All right. And so the tab at the bottom is introduction. Watch the Loom video. It will show you how to use the document. Next tab is volume of launches. This is where you're going to keep track of stuff. Okay, this is where you're going to keep track of stuff. Now, only do this if you want to 10x your results. Okay, if you don't want to 10x your results, don't do it. Okay. So you have a space to put, and I didn't create this whole document. This document was created for voting and auditing way back when. I just made some modifications to it. It had a really good organization, so I left that stuff alone and added some stuff to it. Okay, so you have a space for the project date. You have a space for the project name. Okay, was it profitable? When you put in a yes, when you put in a Y, it's going to say yes. Okay, when you put in an in, it's going to say no. Okay. Over here, pre-sale. Actually, I need to do something real quick. I realized that I have two different browsers, and I need to move this over here. real quick. There we go. Now you can actually see what I was doing there. Okie dokie. So when you put a Y here, it's going to turn green for yes. I'm sorry. Yeah, yes, it's profitable. N for no. Okay. You can want to keep track of the price. Okay. You can keep track of the scout. Okay. These are data points. Okay. If you're constantly getting into projects that, LDN 100X does, it's worth documenting that. Do you find after 10, 20, 30 launches that every time you get into one of LDN 100X's projects, it does good? Or Metal to Ride? That's what you want to document. You want to find these things, okay? You can put the Vetter platform link here, so you can always have a reference to it. PooCoin chart can go here. Pre-sale link can go there if you just want to keep track of everything. And right here, you can record, what was the gain in the 24-hour time frame? What was the gain in the 7-day time frame, the 30-day time frame? Okay, you can put those right there. Now here's where this will be really helpful. Here's some space where you can just jot some notes down. Okay. Now there's 2 ways to do this, and we're going to cover both of them. Path number 1 is developing KSP for yourself. Okay. That means you're utilizing the calendar. You're utilizing the calendar to find projects based on your own criteria, the things that you're looking for. Let's use Metal to Ride as an example. Okay. He's going to be looking for certain gaming projects on certain networks with certain criteria. Okay. He would populate this list with that information, and he would document this process. Okay. So here are some notes. Okay. I was really nervous about this project. Something didn't really feel right, but got it anyway. So maybe one of the things that you're looking for is like really good communication in Telegram, and like they're just doing a really bad job. And during the pre-sale, there was no voice chat, and the team hadn't doxed or anything. You just were like, I don't know, but you FOMO'd in. You got in anyway. And then post-launch notes. Okay, you realize it rugged at launch, and you knew you felt something was off. Okay, jot that down. These are not lessons. These are not losses. These are lessons. Okay, we don't get losses here. We get lessons. Okay, the next one. I didn't have a plan on how much to get in, nor how much to get out. Meaning you didn't have a money management plan. You didn't know how much you were going to contribute, and you didn't know where the finish line was. You didn't know you're going to go, 1.5x, 2x, 5x. You didn't know. You kept moving the goalposts. Okay, so you get in and you over leverage. Let's say that you had, $500 to invest, and you go ahead and go with one BNB because you're like, I feel good about this one. I feel good. Okay. And it's doing good. It takes off. It blows past 1.5x, goes to 2x, goes to 3x. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to close out at 4x. It hits 4x. You're like, you know what? This is so simple. Let me just keep going. It goes to 5x. You just keep moving the goalposts. Okay. You keep moving the goalposts. You still haven't made any money. Okay. And then what happens? It tanks. All right. Jot that down. It's helpful for you to recognize what's going on from a mental perspective when you're getting into these launches. Are you reacting emotionally to what's going on, or are you sticking to your plan? Okay. Another option here. I saw so much potential with this project. I went ahead and added a bigger contribution. Okay. So here you are, you realize that you've mapped out your money management, you know your math, you know that you're going to do a minimum contribution for every project because you realize that you can afford to lose multiple times because over time, your projects work out based on what? KSP, okay? Not based on assumptions, not based on hoping and wishing, but based on KSP, okay? Knowledge of system performance. So you saw so much potential with this project. You went ahead and added a bigger contribution. So instead of sticking to your money management of 0.1 or minimum contribution, you went ahead and did one BNB. Okay. Price blew past your 2x goal. You're like, sweet. Okay. You didn't learn your lesson from the last one. Okay. You want to let it keep riding. Okay. And then price out of nowhere tanked. Okay. You kept holding because now you're over leveraged, you're overextended, and you're holding on for dear life, hoping, wishing, praying pressing the refresh button on the chart, hoping that that changes the price. It doesn't work. I've tried it. And you end up losing. Okay. You end up losing. Or at the very least, I mean, I guess it depends on how stubborn you are. Also depends on KSP. When projects dump a certain amount, how often? Out of 10 projects, out of 20 projects, out of 30 projects, how often? Once a project drops below pre-sale price, once a project drops, 50% below pre-sale price, how often does a project turn around? That's something you would get to know. At that point, see, here's a great thing about KSP. At that point, you realize that 9 out of 10 projects that dump, and this is all made up, just so you know, 9 out of 10, you get to figure this out for yourself. 9 out of 10 projects that dump and go below, let's say 50% below pre-sale price. Let's say that like 9 out of 10 never go back up. Okay, that could be a means of an exit. You realize that like 90% of the time, the projects are not going to go back up. Okay, the 10% of the time, how much do they go up? That's what you figure out with KSP. You learn that over time. Okay, obviously, the more things that are constant, the more things that are controlled. For example, only getting in Binance projects that launch on PinkCell with a pre-sale and a certain soft and hard cap and their gaming projects. We can get more specific than that. But the more you dial in that criteria, the more you can rely on the data instead of the emotions. Okay. All right. So this project right here ended up losing it all because you're holding on for dear life. You're hoping it's going to turn around. Okay. You're finally getting the hang of this. This project checked all your boxes. You stuck to your original contribution. Okay. Once the project hit 2x, you closed your position, did a rip. You're so excited. And then you saw the chart went for 10x and now you're kicking yourself. No, it's okay. It's a win. Okay. Don't beat yourself up. You stuck to the plan. You did your due diligence. You researched the project. You asked your questions. You got in at launch. You stuck to your money management plan. You stuck to your exit strategy. That's a win. It could go 100x for all I care. You stuck to the plan. That's a win. Okay. That's a win. As long as you're sticking to the plan. Okay. As long as you're sticking to the plan, that's always a win. Okay. We can always say we coulda, woulda, shoulda. We can always talk about what we could have bought 5 years ago in the crypto space. Well, we could have bought this. We could have bought that. Yeah, of course. That's hindsight. Okay. In the moment, all you know is your plan. Okay. Justin says, can't go broke. Taking profit. Absolutely. Take profit. Take it often. Take it early. like this is the reality of the situation is, guys, if you start the day and then end the day with the same amount of money as you started it, you're actually doing better than like 90% of the crypto population. Okay. Meaning if you got in and then got out and you got in another one and you broke even, like literally, if you're starting the day and ending the day with the same amount, you're doing better than the majority of the people in the crypto space. Don't worry about those other things. Okay. If a project goes 10x after you pull out 2x, great. KSP will tell you how often that happens. And when you get to a place where you've grown your equity up enough in your trading account, I know, just so we're on the same page, I use a lot of Forex lingo, and I know crypto doesn't have the same lingo. We don't have a trading account here, but like Forex has some really good verbiage that crypto's lacking. Maybe we'll create our own. But when your account balance is going up, maybe because of KSP, you realize that 6 out of 10 projects go for a 5x. And so instead of just ripping at 2x, maybe you rip FT, you leave some free tokens in there, and then you close them out at 5x. And now you're catching those bigger gains. But, and this is a big but, it's an important but make sure you're taking profit early. That's the beauty of rip FT. You secure your profit. Now you left in free tokens. You secure your profit plus some, and you leave in free tokens. Okay. Next one. Now you're doing great. And this may not happen on number 5. These are exaggerated. This may happen on number 20. Okay. But you're like, oh, this is easy peasy. I was made for this. Great looking project. I was going for a 2x, but it happened so fast. It was 3x. And by the time I was able to swap, ended up getting 1.25. Okay. Hey, it is what it is. Maybe you were getting really good at this. Maybe you were a little distracted. Maybe the kids were in the next room, or the spouse was asking you a question, and before you could even recognize what was going on, chart had blinked and moved, and your entry for exit was gone, and by the time you close out, you still got 1.25. Hey, that's all right. Okay, just be aware of what's going on. When it's trading time, when it's launch time, let's focus up, be dialed in, be ready to go. Okay. Just like clockwork, I stuck to my plan. I closed out at 2x. I was on to the next project, as simple as brushing my teeth. Like, that's what we're looking for. When things can be automatic, check the emotion, check the ego. You're following the plan. You're following your system. You know your system. You're not worried or distracted by anything else. You're in the zone. You're in flow. You're doing the thing. Emerson said, do the thing, have the power. Like, this is what doing the thing is. Paper trading, volume of launches, developing KSP, that's doing the thing, guys. Treat it seriously. Here's a beautiful thing about this. If you do this for the next 10 launches, if you do this for the next 20 launches, you do this for the next 30 launches, you're going to get really good. And guess what? You don't waste any money if you're paper trading. That's the beautiful thing about this. You can do this without paper trading, but you're going to pay money or BNB or Ethereum for the lessons learned. So like, you can choose whatever direction you want to go. Okay. You want to do it for free and just invest the time to get the knowledge? By all means, go for it. You want to pay for the knowledge? Hey, you're going to get the knowledge either way. Okay. Time or money. I can almost guarantee, and I don't think this is financial advice, but if it is, this is not financial advice. The time spent doing this, the time spent doing volume of launches and learning this, you'll exponentially make more than just jumping straight in. Okay? You'll make more. You'll make up. Yes, it's going to cost you some time. The beautiful thing is we have a calendar full of projects. So get to work. Like, literally, we have a calendar full of projects. So if you're like, Ryan, I got to start making money by next week. Okay. 10 days from now, you got to start making money. Okay. Watch 10 launches a day. Do 100 launches. Yeah, it's going to take time. It's going to take effort. But if you want to get paid, you have to have money to grow. And if all your money is being used and for lessons, that you don't have any money to invest when you're actually in the game. Okay, so if this makes sense, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Okay, so what we just went over is this experience right here. This is all you developing your own KSP, you developing your own system. I mean, you could even do this as a scout, as you're scouting projects. What are the specific criteria that you're looking for? And document that criteria and see how it actually works out in the long run. Are you only looking for docs teams? Are you only looking for StarTech? Are you only looking for YouTube influencer marketing? Are you only looking for certain Telegram groups that have X amount? Are you only looking for certain hard cap, soft cap? Are you only looking for these certain things? And start tracking that to see what actually pays you, okay? To see what actually works, okay? So the next thing that you'll be able to do here, so at the bottom, there's something that says KSP. And so I made like a little personal tracker for yourself, okay? And what you can do is, you could put the name of the project and then the link to the calendar and then the gain, okay? And then you can start tracking, okay, your own results. And you can see it here visually, okay? You can start seeing what actually works. Sometimes on paper or sometimes in your wallet, you can't actually see patterns or track records, okay? But when you document it, you can absolutely see this stuff, Okay. So I put this here for you guys to use this. This way you can start tracking like, hey, what are the results that you're getting? Okay, so you start getting, here's a 1.5x. Oh, I got a 3x. Oh, I got a 50x. Oh, here's a 1.1x, 3x, just start documenting that stuff. Okay. Now, that's for developing KSP for yourself. That's for finding great projects as a scout, how to find great projects. What are the criteria that you're looking for? Okay. When I first started in this space in Vetter, the game for me was, let me find a project that's not on the calendar. That was my criteria. Was it not on the calendar? Okay, great. Let me hurry and post it before someone else. Like that was my criteria. And then over time, I realized, well, that doesn't really make sense. Let me start posting projects that have a potential to actually do good and start developing some criteria. And so the same thing for you, for scouting or for getting in projects, document what's working. That will make you a better scout. It will make you a better trader, investor, whatever title you want to give yourself. Okay. So that's the first part. KSP, volume of launches for yourself. Now, the second part is KSP, volume of launches for others. When I say others, as a tier 3 holder in Vetter, you actually can follow one person. You can follow a scout, and whenever they, post a project, you're able to get a notification. You can see the things that they're getting into. Okay. At tier 4, you can follow unlimited. Okay. Tier 4, huge value there by being able to follow unlimited scouts. With tier 3, you're going to get to do some homework to figure out the kind of scout that you want to follow. Tier 4, you don't have to do the homework. You can just do this next step. Okay. So how do you do KSP? How do you do volume of launches for scouts? Let's see. What am I looking for? Here we go. The good thing is on the calendar, you can search for scouts. Okay. Okay. You can go to their profile. And yes, this is going to take some time. Okay. But here's the kicker. You don't have to wait on launches. You don't have to wait on launches. Okay. This will take a little bit of time, but you don't have to wait on launches to happen. Meaning you go here and you can filter. Okay. Here's this Scouts project. Here's Dan's profile, his tracker page. These are the projects. You filter has launched. Okay. And now you can start looking at these projects to start seeing how they've done. Okay. And kind of give you an idea as to were they profitable? Were they not profitable? Okay. It's a little bit of manual work right now. Okay. We're working towards something where we have the potential to show, where am I at? Oh, here we go. Have the potential to show, imagine being able to see this right here, this blue area showing up right here on the tracker page. Okay. We're not there yet. So you have two options. I guess you have three options. You probably have unlimited options, but the three I'm thinking about right now: 1, KSP for yourself; 2, KSP for a scout, and do the due diligence, put the time and energy, sweat equity into it, or you can just wait. Okay. Now, one of the things I could potentially do, give me a couple of days. I may just be able to make this shareable, and then, we can have a quick reference on, let's say a handful of scouts in our community. Would that be helpful for you guys? Let me know if that'd be helpful. And then, you guys can just view this and see the track record of some of these scouts, and that could save you some time, but also put you in a position to get some to get in front of some launches. Okay, so let's look at Dan, Mr. LDN 100X. Okay, we have right here, we have we have 27 projects. Okay, and it is a lot of projects and the screen only shows 16 at a time. So we got like half one and half two. Okay. So let me do this. Let me snip this right there. Okay. Maybe I can, oh, that's not going to work like I want it to. Well, maybe that's not too bad. Okay. So now we'll go over here and look at these. Maybe I can zoom out a little bit. There we go. Actually, can we see the whole thing now? That's pretty close right there. That's pretty close. Okay, we'll just do it like this. So these are the results from LDN 100X, okay? And what we can see here is he's got some wins, some losses right off the bat. We can see that. Okay, so the first thing, let's see how many projects he has that are the losses. There's less losses than wins, but we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, 12 losses and 15 wins. Okay, that is a 55% success ratio. Okay, how many people think that's good? Type in good or bad based on how you feel that that number is. Do you think it's good or bad? Just take a guess. It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. There's no right or wrong. It's totally a guess. Good or bad? 55% success track record, success rate, good or bad, overall. Last 27 projects, 55% success rate. Tim says good. Thanks, Tim. Lajay says good. Thanks, brother. All right, so we got good. Okay. Now, that is kind of a loaded question. Okay. It's kind of a loaded question. And the reason it's a loaded question is because if his average gain was 1.1x, 55% would be kind of low. Okay, meaning you're not going to have enough gains to offset the losses or potential losses. Okay. However, this is why data is super important. His overall average for all 27 projects is a 9x, 9.8x to be exact. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, that changes some things, definitely. Like I said, if it was only a 1.25x, I don't know. I mean, you're barely breaking even. Okay, but this is a factor. Okay, this is a factor. But guess what? This average here, okay, this average is only taking into account that you got every one of the gains. Okay, there were some big gains here, 50x, 100x. But if you're doing a strategy where you're only getting 2x, this is going to be way different. This number is going to be way less. Does that make sense? These big gains change that. Let me not undo that. Okay. So we get to look at the data, but also look at it from where you are in your own process. Okay. Where you are in your own process. So one of the things that we can do when once you've built out your list, whether it be for a scout or whether it be for yourself, you can start looking and say, okay, let's see, there's a 1.1x here, only one of those. Okay, that's good. Over here, there's just 1.25. Okay. Right here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 2x's, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, there's 4 2x's and 7 projects above a 2x. With me knowing that, I would look at a strategy that would say, okay, If 11 projects are going to be 2x or more, I'm going to look at 2x as where I'm going to rip FT. I'm going to be able to get some profit out. I'm going to leave in free tokens, and I'm going to have a plan to pull out more tokens every whatever threshold it is, whether it's percent gained or whether it's benchmarks. Let's see that, every time you hit another X, okay, so from 2X to 3X, you're going to pull another, 10%. Okay, 3X to 4X, 10%, 4X to 5X, 10%. Every time that happens, you're pulling out profits all along the way. And that way you end up making it up to 100X. You end up capturing that. Or maybe you have a cap. Maybe you say, you know what, my cap is 5X. Then I'm going to close out everything at 5X. Okay. You figure these things out through a volume of launches. Okay. You develop your KSP through a volume of launches. The only way you're going to know that is if you're in it, you're trading it, you do the math to actually figure out what's going to happen. Okay. Now, this also is taking into account, this is only 24-hour time frame. Some of these projects after 24 hours could be lower or could be higher. Okay. So you get to figure out what type of investor are you. You want to be in and out? You want to be more long-term? Some projects, I've seen some projects that they don't do that great in the first 24 hours, but then they gradually start ramping up and then end up being great projects over 30 days. Okay. So what type of investor are you? Are you looking to get in and out as quick as possible? Do you feel like the crypto market's incredibly volatile and you want to be exposed for extended periods of time? So get in, get out, move on. Or you find projects you want to stay with indefinitely. And over time, the value goes up. Okay. You get to figure that out as part of your own system, but also know, how does this look for the scout as well? Okay. And that's where the Oracle comes in by showing this stuff. Okay. The 4 squares here, the first purple square here indicates over a 24-hour time frame. The second one indicates profitable over a 7-day time frame. The third one over a 30-day time frame, and the fourth one profitable overall. Okay, that means that there was a profitable time frame for the project. That's how it gets overall. So based on this right here, we could say that, well, if we're going to follow a project for LDN 100X, statistically, it's really good 24 and 7-day time frame, not so much on the 30-day time frame. Okay. Now, if you find a scout that's all purple, that would indicate that it's likely that they're good average across all time frames. Okay. So that's how that works. That's how you can start building something, for yourself, and start recognizing and seeing like the patterns that can emerge. Okay. Another thing to consider is the kind of thought process you want to have when you're following a scout. And what I mean by that is you can follow a scout and get in all the projects that they post. That's one strategy. Or you can look at the project that the scout posts and decide if you want to get in based on your own criteria. Okay. There's a lot of different ways this can work out for you. So you can use the signals that come from the scout simply as they posted it, I'm getting in it. Or they posted it, I'm going to research it. Okay. Now, one thing to consider, if you do decide to research projects that a scout posts, and I'm not saying one is better than the other, you got to find out what works for you. But the moment you research projects that you should or should not have got into based on your own subjectivity could limit gains like this. Okay. And it could limit It could limit the good projects you get into and maximize the bad, or vice versa. Okay. So for example, let's say that like you didn't like this project. Okay. So you decided not to get in it, but you did decide to get in these two, but they lost. You did decide to get in this one, but you decided not to get in these two and they lost. I'm sorry. And they won and you missed out. Okay. Your subjectivity can clash with the scouts' subjectivity and their criteria. So just know that. It would be worth noting. It would be worth noting over here on the volume of launches. It would be worth noting over here. LDN posted this project. I didn't like it. I would not get into it. And then you see over here, yes. And you see time and time again, you would have not gotten in and it was profitable. You know, it's worth documenting those things. Maybe you and LDN, maybe you and Metal Ride, maybe you and PSC 100X, maybe you guys see things from just a little bit different perspective because your own life experiences. That little bit of subjectivity could influence whether you pull the trigger or not. Okay, so just know that anytime your own subjectivity is at play, it can mess with the data. It can mess with the numbers. Okay, because now you're combining your system with someone else's system. Okay, it's like mixing two different types of wine. Okay, it's not a good idea. You're gonna get mixed results. Okay, does this make sense? And is this helpful? Does anybody have any questions or comments and want to chime in on what we're covering so far with volume of launches, KSP, paper trading, just following the systems, how to follow scouts, how to look at stuff on your own? Anybody have any questions or comments on that? Feel free to raise your hand or drop them in the comment section. And I'll just, since we're all here, I'll just go over some of the track record for some of the scouts here. So this is Gordon Gecko. This is where he's currently sitting at. Okay. LDN 100X. We just looked at his, but here's his first 16. Okay. And then here's a pretty good streak. Okay. Another thing to think about is right here, it's a pretty good streak here. And then there were 4 losses in a row. Another great thing to understand about your KSP, as well as a scout's, is realizing that losses are part of the game. It is what it is. Let me say it this way. I don't invest much time into a loss. Okay. If it's a loss, okay, great. But I'm not going to dwell on it. I'm not going to beat myself up and say, oh, I should have done this. I could have done that. There's a lot of things we could have and should have done in our lifetime. I don't have the mental space to carry this baggage with me to the next project. If it checks all of your boxes and checks all of your criteria and it tanks, oh, well, on to the next one. Okay. I think that we do a really good job and we want to be really good at spotting projects that are scams. Okay. Absolutely. We want to be adamant. We want to be on point to spot projects that are scams. Okay. But sometimes there's a gray area between a project dumping, a project that has potential in it dumping, versus a straight up scam. And I just invite you to not try to process and analyze and find the absolute best, most perfect, pristine, utopic project that there is. Because at the end of the day, once you've made your contribution, you have zero control over it. So like, it is what it is. Once you press submit on PinkCell or Unicrypt or Gempad or wherever, just accept the fact that like, hey, this was a go for me. I pulled the trigger. It is what it is. Jesus, take the wheel. And let it go. Just let it go. Roll with it. Follow the money management at that point. But like, I would not invest a lot of time to process, oh, why didn't it do this? If it checked all your boxes, great. Okay. If it checked your boxes, great. It just, sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. Sometimes the team says they're going to do what they're going to do, but they don't. Sometimes the marketing is supposed to kick in, but it doesn't. Sometimes this, sometimes that. It is what it is. Okay. So I would not invest a lot of time into that. Okay. But recognize, like right here, recognize that losses are going to be a part of the game. I know for a fact that if some people were following LDN 100X and he got 4 losses in a row, they may stop following him. I know for a fact that that's the mentality. FUD would happen. They'd be so bummed and disappointed. Oh, this doesn't work. Oh, whatever. Not realizing that the next 4 projects had the biggest gains of the whole 27 series. Okay? That's part of the game. Just recognize that it's part of the game. And if you have proper money management, it doesn't matter anyway, because you've accounted for losses. You're not overextending yourself. You're ready to go. Things are good. Life is good. Okay. Here's Captain Kurt. We got about 20 projects for him. So he had a pretty good streak there. Here's Metal Ride. We're sitting at about 15 projects at the time that this was recorded. Hellstrom sitting at 13 projects at the time this was recorded. Vodka Hawk. Vodka Hawk's been on the bench for a couple months. He's back in the game now with the new Scout reward system. I know a lot of people were excited about that. So he's back in the game. He's currently sitting at a 7 streak, which is fantastic. WM Stock. He's been on the bench as well. Had some life events going on, but I've reached out to him as well. Mr. Brink 36 has some great projects in there. Another thing that you're going to recognize, even in looking at the data like this, okay, even in looking at the data like this, that the post frequency of scouts, okay, some scouts post a lot, and some scouts are very very not subjective, very what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know what, maybe it'll come to me. Some scouts post a lot and some scouts don't post as frequently. And that also comes down to the KSP, the system. Selective. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you. That was the exact word that it was not there. I went to pull it out and selective was not there. Thank you, Deborah, so much. Yes. Some scouts post a lot and some scouts are very selective. And yeah, absolutely. Brink 36 is very, very analytical. Great on tokenomics. And the thing about, and here's the beauty of this. Here's the beauty of understanding the scouts. All the scouts have their own style, their own personality, but you're going to get a different feel. And so like with Brink 36, he's very selective. And PSC 100X, she's very selective. And so when they post a project, they're very selective, they're very precise in what they're doing. And you look at the numbers and say, okay, wait, if they posted something, this is definitely worth me taking a look at. Okay. And you have other scouts who post really frequently, all the time, 2-3 projects a day, just filling the calendar up, So for example, if you are tier 3, 1, I would encourage you to go to tier 4 so you can follow unlimited people, not financial advice. But 2, if you're tier 3, I'm not saying to not follow someone who's very selective. I'm just saying that you may not be maximizing your signals. If you follow a scout who posts 1 a month, it may be worth just looking at that scout's profile or searching that scout on the calendar every couple of days than using your follow feature for a scout who doesn't post frequently. And that's not to say that they're not worth following. That's just to say, to maximize your follow feature, you may want to follow a scout that you resonate with that posts frequently enough to maximize that and make that effective and efficient for you. Okay. Again, not saying to not follow any scouts, not saying that at all. Just saying as a means of maximizing the follow feature, you may want to follow people who post more frequently to get the most out of that. Okay. Here's PSC 100X. Here's Kevin 9. Kevin 9's currently at a 3 streak at the time of doing this. And then Radical's been on a but I'll actually be posting a couple projects of his today in Telegram. He's been having some good results. I know he's really fired up and excited about the new reward system. And so he's doing good. So that might be a scout to look into and see how they're doing. And there's still a handful that we're currently working on and populating as data and things come in. So with that, does anybody have any questions on, like I said, volume of launches or, KSP or paper trading or anything like that on the things that we covered today? Okay, perfect. So what we can do is, since we are a little over on time, what I'll do is I can stop recording now, and anybody who wants to stay on, we can look at a couple projects real quick, since we did a deep dive on volume of launches and KSP and everything. If anybody wants to stay on, feel free to do so. But I'll go ahead and end this session on volume of launches and KSP.